The old house stood on a hill overlooking the town. It had been there for as long as anyone could remember, a silent sentinel, watching over the years as the town grew and changed. It was a looming hulk of a place, its windows like vacant eyes that seemed to follow you wherever you went. The paint was peeling and the roof sagged under the weight of countless seasons. No one dared go near it. They said it was haunted, cursed even. Stories of ghostly apparitions and eerie sounds had been passed down through generations, each tale more chilling than the last. 5 friends, Jake, Emily, Ben, Chloe and Chris, stood at the edge of the property. They were a tight-knit group bound by years of shared adventures and secrets. They'd heard the stories, the whispers of restless spirits and tragic events, tales of a family that had vanished without a trace, and of a woman in white who roamed the halls at night. Now, under the pale light of the moon, they were about to face the unknown. The air was thick with anticipation and a hint of fear, as if the house itself was aware of their presence.
"Last one to knock on the front door is a rotten egg," Jake shouted, his voice breaking the tense silence.
Jake declared, a nervous laugh escaping his lips. He tried to mask his fear with bravado, but his friends could see the uncertainty in his eyes. He didn't need to repeat himself. They all raced towards the house, each one hoping their bravado didn't betray the fear that gnawed at their insides. Their footsteps echoed in the still night, a chorus of youthful defiance against the unknown. The old iron gate creaked open, a sound like a mournful cry. It was as if the house was welcoming them, or perhaps warning them of what lay ahead. The friends exchanged nervous glances, but none of them backed down. They had come this far, and there was no turning back now. As they stepped inside, the air grew heavy, thick with the scent of decay and something else, something ancient and unseen. Dust lay thick on every surface, and cobwebs draped the furniture like ghostly shrouds.
"This place is creepy,"
Chloe whispered, her voice trembling. Suddenly a floorboard creaked above them. They froze, their hearts pounding in unison.
"Who's there?"
Ben called out, his voice echoing in the silence. Only the sound of their own ragged breaths answered him. As they ventured deeper into the house, the whispers began. They were faint at first, like the rustling of leaves, but gradually grew louder, swirling around them.
"Help us, free us."
Emily shivered, pulling her jacket tighter around herself.
"Did you guys hear that?"
The others exchanged uneasy glances. They had all heard it. The house was alive with unseen voices, and they seemed to be drawing the friends deeper into its depths. They climbed the creaking stairs to the attic, each step punctuated by the whispers that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. The attic was dark and dusty, lit only by the sliver of moonlight that pierced through a crack in the boarded-up window.
"Look!"
Chris exclaimed, pointing to a dusty old trunk tucked away in a corner. They gathered around the trunk, their breaths held collectively as Jake slowly lifted the lid. Inside, nestled amongst yellowed lace and faded velvet, lay a leather-bound journal. Emily carefully lifted the journal from the trunk. The trunk itself was a relic covered in dust and cobwebs, hinting at the many years it had been untouched. As she opened it, a faint scent of aged paper and forgotten memories filled the air. Its pages were brittle with age, the ink faded but still legible. Each page seemed to tell a story of its own, with the handwriting growing more frantic as the entries progressed. The journal was a window into a past long forgotten, yet eerily present in the room.
As she began to read aloud, the whispers seemed to hush, as if the spirits themselves were listening. The room grew colder, and the shadows seemed to dance around her, reacting to the words she spoke. It was as if the house itself was alive, hanging on to every word.
The journal belonged to a young woman named Anya, who had lived in the house over a century ago. Anya's life was filled with joy and sorrow, her words painting a vivid picture of her experiences. She wrote about her dreams, her fears, and the love she had for her family. She wrote of a family heirloom, a beautiful amulet that had been passed down through generations. The amulet was more than just a piece of jewelry. It was a symbol of her family's legacy, a connection to their ancestors. Anya cherished it deeply, believing it brought her protection and strength. But the amulet carried a dark secret, a curse that trapped the spirits of anyone who dared possess it. Anya's final entries were filled with fear and desperation as she realized the true nature of the amulet. She wrote of strange occurrences, of feeling watched, and of the growing sense of dread that consumed her. The amulet, once a cherished heirloom, had become a source of terror. Anya's words painted a chilling picture of the amulet's power. It promised wealth and prosperity, but demanded a terrible price. Those who succumbed to its allure were doomed to remain trapped within the house, their spirits bound to the amulet for eternity.
We have to find this amulet. If we can destroy it, maybe we can free these spirits.
The others nodded in agreement. They had stumbled upon something bigger than themselves, a chance to right a wrong that had haunted the house for over a century. Section 7. A desperate search. Guided by Anya's journal and the whispers that seemed to urge them forward, they searched the house from top to bottom. They navigated through darkened rooms, their fingers trailing along dusty shelves and cobweb-draped furniture. The air grew colder, the whispers more insistent.
It has to be here somewhere, Ben muttered, frustration creeping into his voice.
Just when their hope began to dwindle, Chloe stumbled upon a loose floorboard in the master bedroom. Beneath it, hidden from sight, lay a small wooden box. Section 8. Breaking the Curse. With trembling hands, Chloe opened the box. Inside, nestled on a bed of faded velvet, lay the amulet. It was even more beautiful than Anya had described, a silver pendant with an intricate design that seemed to shimmer in the dim light. As soon as they touched it, the whispers reached a fever pitch.
The house seemed to groan and shudder around them, the spirit's torment reaching its peak. Following Anya's instructions, they gathered in the center of the room, the amulet pulsing with an eerie light.
Section 9. Finding Peace. They closed their eyes, their hands clasped tightly together, and recited the words Anya had written in her journal. The air crackled with energy, and a blinding light filled the room. When the light subsided, the amulet was gone, reduced to dust.
A wave of peace washed over the house, a palpable sense of relief.
The whispers, once filled with anguish and despair, faded to gentle murmurs of gratitude. The spirits were free.
Section 10. A Silent Dawn. As dawn broke, the first rays of sunlight pierced through the cracks in the boarded-up windows, painting long, eerie shadows across the dusty floors. The air was thick with the remnants of the night, a silence that spoke volumes. The five friends stood in the silent house, their breaths shallow, their eyes wide with the memories of what had transpired, forever changed by the events of the night. They had faced the unknown, confronted the shadows that lurked in the corners of their minds. They stepped out into the fresh morning air, feeling the weight of the night lift slightly from their shoulders, leaving behind the whispers and the shadows, the echoes of the past that had haunted them, the secrets and the sorrow. They knew that the house held many stories, many untold tales of those who had come before them. The house on the hill stood silent, a sentinel of the past, watching over the valley below. Its windows no longer vacant, but filled with the promise of a new day. The light streamed through, chasing away the darkness that had once held sway. The spirits were at peace, their restless wanderings finally laid to rest, and the friends carried their story, a tale of courage and fear, of facing the unknown and emerging stronger, a haunting reminder of the unseen forces that shape our world. They knew that they would never forget this night, nor the lessons it had taught them.